Hey folks, today we're going to take a look at a game that is currently seeking funding on Kickstarter. That game is called So Long My World, and it's from Axis Mundi Games. Now, if you like what you see throughout the rest of this video, I'm going to encourage you to go to the official Kickstarter project page. You can do that by following the link on the top corner of your screen, as well as down in the description section underneath this video. Those links will take you to the page. You can find out more information than I could possibly tell you here, and hopefully you'll consider backing the project. So Long My World is a competitive game with a very interesting theme. The theme is essentially not that you're trying to stave off the apocalypse or that you are trying to live in a world afterwards. The fact of the matter is the human race is going to die in a matter of hours. It is not just going to die from some sort of cataclysmic event. It's just going to cease to be. Humans are dying out, and you are the last humans left standing. And what matters is how you're going to spend the last few hours you have left on Earth trying to make some sense of it, or trying to have an awakening, a spiritual, or maybe just a feeling of something that's going to make your life up to that point worthwhile before you just blink out of existence or just slump over and die. And there's some hints that it might be computer program related, something like that. I don't know, but it's a very interesting theme. And in gameplay terms, what you're doing is card and hand management, playing cards in order to get tokens and action selection on various cards out on the table, all representing thoughts and feelings and visions and emotions that you're going to be experiencing as the final hour draws near. So let me go ahead and give you a brief look at how the game is played with a prototype version of the game. So do bear in mind that what you see here may change in the final version. That's why you should go to the Kickstarter page. But in any event, then we're going to come back and we will discuss it further. So Long My World is a competitive game for 2 to 5 players. Humanity is coming to its inevitable end in just a few hours, and each player is one of the last humans clinging to life on the planet, desperately trying to gain insight into their existence and come to some sort of higher awareness before they themselves die. In game terms, you'll try to gather insight points during the game by using cards representing states of mind, feelings, and visions, and the goal is to have the most insight points at the end of the game. Start setting up by placing the clock board near the center of the table. Each tick represents a round of play. The game ends at the end of the 12th round. Lay out the 6 vision cards in 2 rows of 3. They'll be in a random order each game. Players will be able to visit these visions, drain their feelings, gain new feeling tokens, and activate a special ability. Nearby, make stacks of the various tokens. First, there are inverse marks of soul. At the end of the game, every 3 of these you have are worth 1 insight point. You can also spend them to draw Gestalt cards or ignore the effect of reboot cards, all of which we'll get to in a moment. The rest of the tokens represent feelings that the players will gain during the game, ranging from positive to negative: hope, nostalgia, resignation, despair, and madness. Every player will choose either a hope or madness token to start the game with. They'll also get 1 of each of the vision tokens corresponding to the vision cards. There are 3 separate stacks of cards. An event card from the event deck will be drawn and resolved every round. In addition to a special action taking effect, it will spawn feeling tokens on the vision cards that the players can collect. One of the cards in the deck is a randomly chosen reboot card, which can cause the players to purge feeling tokens or cards, and then gets reshuffled back into the deck with all the discarded events. The biggest deck consists of Remnant Cards. These are the thoughts flowing through the players' minds during the march to death. To play them, players will need to spend specific feeling tokens, but in exchange, not only will you get the effect on the bottom of the card, which might help you or hinder your opponents, but you also get anywhere from 0 to 3 insight points, as indicated by the symbols on the top of the cards, or lack thereof. Cards also have karma, based on the feelings required to play them, either positive, neutral, or negative. This is important for endgame scoring. Each player will be dealt 3 of these Remnant cards at random, together with 1 Life is a Journey card and 1 Soul Box card, which are starting Remnant cards for each player. Some of these Remnant cards, however, are special Gestalt cards. These will be shuffled separately and kept next to the clock. If you can manage to get a hold of one of these, they have more powerful effects than standard Remnant cards, and one of the cards is actually worth 4 insight. Finally, choose 1 player at random to be the starting player and take the corresponding token, then begin the game. Each round of the game has 4 phases. The first phase is the event phase. The start player draws a card and resolves it, which may be a regular event effect or a reboot card. Then that player will dispense the depicted feeling tokens to their vision cards, where they'll stay until players grab them. Next is the choice phase. Every player simultaneously and secretly chooses a vision token, concealing it in their hand. This token will correspond with the vision card you want to interact with for that round. Everyone will then reveal simultaneously and go through with 2 steps. First, the Hinder Step. In turn order, each player may choose to play a Remnant card with a Hinder effect, by spending feeling tokens as usual. These Hinder effects can manipulate the other players, forcing them to either go to other visions or take their turn out of order. After everyone has had a chance to hinder, you move on to facing the vision step. Again, in turn order, each player will interact with their vision. They can activate the special effect, take up to 2 feeling tokens from the card, or if they didn't take feeling tokens, they can drain the vision. This means letting them either take a feeling token of the vision's matching affinity, taking an inverse Mark of Saul, drawing a system card, or drawing another starting card. Choosing the same vision too much can cause it to overload, being flipped down permanently for the rest of the game, and giving everyone a matching feeling token as compensation. Next is the Remnant Phase. Every player in order can freely play their Remnant cards from hand, if they can pay for them with feeling tokens. After resolving their effect, Remnant cards worth insight will stay with you to keep track of points. The fourth and final phase of each round is the End Phase. The first player marker moves to the next player in order, and the clock ticks down to the next hour. When the 12th hour ends, the game is over. Humanity ceases to exist. Every player will total up all the insight points they've gained from Remnant and Gestalt cards, plus the 1 point for every 3 inverse Marks of Soul. They also get bonus points if every Remnant they played had the same karma, positive, neutral, or negative, from 1 to 6 points. Whoever has the most points is the winner of the game. That is So Long My World. Well, it's hard to imagine you can start a conversation about this game without focusing on the theme, because it is so unique, and it's something that, as any good theme does, it wraps itself around not just the gameplay, but also the art style and component style, and the whole way that the game looks and the atmosphere that pervades it. This whole thing of, like, there's a lot of games that are end of the world or post end of the world, and how the players are just trying to scrounge and survive in that, or just to stop the world from ending. In this one, it's over, it's done, it's inevitable. There's some ambiguity as to what actually is happening and how it's happening and why it's happening, that is unclear just from a cursory glance at the game and the card text and all that. But it's happening, and so you have to find some way to make sense of that, and that's what the cards represent in the game, the Remnants cards, and there's the hints of some sort of computer program that's been controlling the world, or something like that. But it's all just very nebulous and vague, and really the point is the emotions and feelings. Hence, you have things like the feelings tokens and the visions cards that you're trying to manipulate, and then all these different Remnants cards representing states of being, like acceptance or getting angry. Again, the theme pervades every bit of the game. Now, when it comes to the actual gameplay, the nitty-gritty of it, which is, of course, very important in any game, you can't just rely on theme alone, is very clever card and hand management. So it's about not just having the right cards in hand and being able to play them and saying, hey, I've got points. It's making the most effective use of the abilities on those cards, but also those communal cards, the vision cards that you and the other players are essentially bidding to not gain control of, but to use and manipulate. But that's where turn order and sort of figuring out what your opponents might be trying to do becomes very important, because what you want, more than anything, are those feeling tokens that can be harvested from the vision cards. But if it doesn't work out right for you, either because you go for a card and someone else goes for it, but they're earlier in the turn order than you, or if it would have worked out for you, but you play those Remnant cards that hinder you, that's a problem. So you need to be able to counter that. You need to be able to plan forward and ahead. So despite the fact that really, in reality, it's not an overly complex game, and it is a game that you can play and teach to someone very quickly, there is still a surprising amount of strategic depth here. It's not a game that relies solely on its theme. It has the gameplay to back it up, but there is that theme, and that's an important thing to mention. And again, the art style as well, very unique, stark, polarized, almost like photo-negative artwork on the Remnants cards, but then you have the very lush, colorful artwork for the Vision cards in contrast to that. it's just a very, very interesting game. And if it interests you, if you like the theme, if you like the idea of the gameplay, if you think you or someone you know who wants something that's a little more serious than your standard, very serious really, I probably haven't gotten that point across, it's a very serious-minded game, but not too complex at the same time. If you think that you fall into that category of someone who would like this, or you know someone who does, don't take our word for it. Go to the Kickstarter project page. You can do that by following the link in the top corner of your screen, as well as down in the description section underneath this video. Those links will take you to the page. You can find out more information than I could possibly tell you here, and hopefully you will consider backing the project. That is So Long My World from Access Mundi Games. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, for supporting our sponsors. Take care.